Hello, and welcome to the Product Pals, where two friends nerd out about product. Hello, Kit. How are you today?
I'm excited. Our first episode, of course. So, how about you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel very nervous and excited as well. So, because it's the first episode of the Product House, I think it's probably a fair point to start exploring a little bit about our definition about what product managers actually is. So, before jumping in, I really hate doing introductions. But I do thinking it might be helpful for our audience to know a little bit more about kind of a product background, just to helping them to understand where some of our points come from, and also some of our potential blind spots as well. So, would you like to give a quick introductions about who you are, Kiet?
Dear listeners, this is where we tell you that all points made in this podcast are personal opinions only and not associated with our work or any other organisations. We might change some details of our stories to protect the privacy of the individuals and organisations involved. Thank you, Charlotte. Kiet Trong, been doing product almost 20 years now, but started off in digital marketing at Officeworks right as it was being acquired by Wesfarmers. Picked up some design skills, and as with most young people with too much time, tried my hands at a couple of failed startups. Ended up at Harris Scarf launching their first e-commerce from a 100-year-old plus mail order business. This was back in 2008. Testing and learning all the way through to the point where it was a profitable business and ended up being sold to Wesfarmers South Africa. Then I ended up at Angus Robson, the e-commerce bookstore. So part of it was a re-platform. Mobile UX was a big thing back then. Then they got acquired by Booktopia. Went through that acquisition. And then not long after that, we kind of saw the team through the disturbance and ended up at the Big Four Consulting that where I work with you now, Charlotte. So the part of the consulting firm that I joined, funny enough, also was formed from an acquisition, right? So
Wow.
I just realized doing this, there's a big theme here, but it was created through the acquisition of two digital agencies and been there 8 years now. Been working on some cool blockchain product projects, greenfield strategy to execution, all the way through to kind of large organizational transformations. Started off as an individual contributor, now kind of more in the product strategy space. But I do like to roll up my sleeves as often as I can to get into the design interviews and synth as well. So that's me. How about you, Charlotte?
That sounds very exciting. Oh my God. And also you do know one of my favorite product currently I'm looking after is a merchant acquisition digital product as well. So, but people, if interested about that, we definitely can talk a bit more about the M&A market is definitely hot at the moment. So,
Probably time for another episode.
yeah. So I'm a little bit younger than Kia, so I work in the product lens just over probably 10 years. But I have tried a very different type of role before I actually enter that. So I used to be a teacher. I work as accounting before, and then I work in marketing. I've been a coach. So before I kind of very accidentally enter this very amazing tech world as a business analyst without knowing too much about the technology. So, but very lucky enough, I'm managing to learn throughout the whole process and have delivered and launched, I guess, quite a lot digital kind of products, and in both the small OGs like startup land and some of the insurance fintech in the scale up phases, and also working on quite a lot of kind of big B2B products in the corporate environments. So outside from I guess the day job, I do run my own kind of online jewelry business as well, and I also have a few kind of side hustles like this, which just to keep feeding me the energies. So this all of this experience really give me very different type of learning and perspectives. So very similar to Kia. So I'm operating. Actually, I'm probably operating somewhere between, I guess, an individual contributors and also a product leader role in the one of the, I guess, the internal product incubator kind of in the global consulting firms as well. But I definitely, at this stage, again, it may change in the future, I definitely enjoy the individual contributor part of the role more. What about, let's start talking a little bit about the definitions about product manager. So Kia, how would you define this role?
Yeah, At its core, I think a product manager's job is very simple. They identify, they create, and they capture value for customers on behalf of the business or organization they work for, right? So I come from a retail background, so a lot of times the people who do these roles are not even technical people, right? They're fashion buyers, book merchandisers. They're just they could be people who are not in the tech space. The craft itself has been around for decades and decades, and it's interesting kind of seeing tech kind of own and take over the space and in a lot of ways bring it to the next level as well. But if you're listening to this, chances are you're thinking about the modern definition of product managers who I'd say the first among equals, working on a product triad of product design and engineers to supply kind of cross-functional lens of business experience and technology to solve problems. But Charlotte, you and I, we've kind of known each other for a few years now on the job. Can you talk to what your typical day looks like as a product manager and how does it play out?
Is it a typical day as a product manager? So this is very interesting questions around typical days, because I definitely feel like most of the product managers operating very differently, as Wakia says, like even the role of the product managers in the different industry, different organizations can look very different. Even in the same organization, to be honest, even in my organization, we have quite a lot of different product managers across the business. If you're talking to them, they operate very differently. But they do have some key components for me at the moment. I try to keep them stable. I try to make them as a habit for like to do as my day. So I guess the number one things I will always do to start the morning is to basically sort out my calendar and plan the day. So I know a lot of people here probably that don't really believe in to-do lists. I see so many blog posts about to-do lists. It's not essentially like effective planning tools, but I do my to-do list the first things in the morning. Simply just for me, I treat them as almost as a map for me to plan out the day look like. But when I'm doing my to-do list, one thing I do is I always highlight only one things on the to-do list as my must-have, which is very product managers, I guess, things to do. You have to have your priority right. So I always have just one thing as a must-have for today. And I always make sure I finish that. And then the other things that I always do first things in the morning, because I realize if I don't do it first things in the morning, I wouldn't get the chance to do it during the day. I just wouldn't trust myself if I don't do it in the morning. It is just to review all the key metrics, product metrics, including all the user feedback, which you have a very cool tool called User Snap, which you'll be able to suck in all the user, feedback directly from the platform into one single like Slack channel. So I'll be able to see them all in one places. And then I have a look at the Google Analytics and some of the other kind of analytics dashboard just to have a feeling around what is the overall kind of both the quantitative and the qualitative side of feedback. And then I guess during the day really is the non-typical the times of the day is really around working with different type of people, and that can including working and speaking with the product teams, and also working with customers, and also like other internal functions such as legal, privacy, and all these sort of things. But really, during the day is really about unblocking the teams, helping them to be the best version of themselves and achieve the outcomes they were all set to do. But yeah, I guess, Kia, I also have a question for you, because you have been working in the consulting world like way more than I do as well. So I'm really interested, like what's the difference to working as a product manager in the consulting world compared to the industry from your perspective?
Yeah, it's a great question. I didn't think I'd survive this long, to be honest. But I think the key thing is you're doing product management with clients. And so there's an element of coaching you would expect, teaching, facilitating, mentoring, and actual professional coaching. So asking powerful questions. But ultimately, we're not a product company, right? So it's a lot of treating the firm's people as your classic product market fit pyramid. What are the problems? What are the underserved needs? What's the value proposition? What is the features and UX, right? So it's treating the firm's people and capabilities as the features, and testing out different value propositions to take to clients. So I think that's one of the most effective ways a product manager applies their skills within a consulting environment. And to be honest, I don't think we've got enough people within the consulting who think like product managers. But typically it looks like taking the challenges of clients and shaping and responding to proposals. We're often reviewing digital products that our overseas partners have created and importing it here and improving it, seeing how to kind of create a business case to bring it to life. And a lot of ways we're spoilt for choice in creating and implementing a strategy, helping organizations set up their product operations, ways of working, and getting hands-on and sitting into user testings and synthesis and delivery as well. So there's a lot of visual storytelling that's involved, as famously kind of, it's true, the reputation around kind of PowerPoint and slide decks, but really it's all about how do you tell the story in the right way. The flip side is it is also very pipeline led. So you go where the money is, right? And it's the ultimate level of agility because where you start winning work, that's kind of where you focus your energy in. So also you're surrounded by very smart people with strong opinions and different worldviews as well. So there's a lot of kind of disagree and commit that's involved. So on that point, Charlotte, in your experience as a product manager, what are some of the core principles of being a product manager? And I know the disagree and commit part. You can't win all your battles. So what are the hills that you're willing to die on, metaphorically speaking?
I might just commenting quickly around some of the things you mentioned around the consulting work, because I definitely resonate quite a lot of things you mentioned there, like regarding to almost a little bit decentralized in the consulting world regarding to how product run compared to the industries there. And also it seems like it just have a bit more variety about different type of work. But I guess one thing I do wanted to clarify, even in the consulting itself, we have a very different type of product manager, as we mentioned earlier on. I guess me and Kia start operating in the slightly different lens. I think because Kia's team is a bit more kind of client facing, that's why I get a little bit much more kind of a variety, and the pipeline is very, very driven by the market, by the clients and the demands and everything. And then in consulting, they are also kind of a bit more typical product management teams, which you have a dedicate of the kind of a digital product that being incubated by the because of market demand, of course. But then you actually building it, you get scaling it, and enter into the market and continue to support it as well. So that's why it's a very dynamic kind of world around that. So come back to the question regarding to the fundamental principle about PM, which hills I wanted to die on. I feel like I'm currently in way too much battle, so I totally should cut it a little bit. But I only have one principle for me, and so my principle is always people first, because for me this is like a fundamental principle for doing everything in my life, and especially for the product. When you're thinking about building a product, you're trying to meet you're building for the people, so customers for you is important, and you're building with the people, so your team with you is important. And then even a lot of people to say, you're building for the business, but if you're thinking about what's the fundamental of the business, they are people as well. For me, people is always first before everything, and that kind of connect with the battle that the biggest hills I would die on is regarding to access to the customers. So which is something that I don't know if you guys have this experience in the industry, is you always hear this term to say you don't have to talk to customer, you just need to talk to me. And this time this me can mean subject matter expert. It can sometimes be a CEO and the founder. This happens all the time. The CEO just tell me, I know everything about this particular industry. I born in this industry, basically. Just talk to me instead of customers. And sometimes it can be the sales guys, your growth teams. Everyone try to convince you not to talk to customers, which is something I find it very, very interesting. Because again, this is just my experience working. I get into this battle almost every single job at the beginning when I step in as a role, and I find it very interesting why this is a very big battles, because this is a fundamental thing for what being a product manager means to me is to have a truly have a understanding what the customer's needs is. But when you understanding that not on the textbook level, you truly understand their need, their pains, you talk to them, you see them, you see how they're operating. For me, this is the fundamental. So maybe I'll just share one example. Early on in my career, I was working on the it's mainly B2B company, but they're starting to have this 2C type of almost as a greenfield streams of work. So I basically been in charge about looking after this 2C part, is the customer channel of the product. However, the understanding around you need to talking to the customer is just so low that I literally couldn't get any buying, any budget to do any customer interviews at all. I'm not allowed to talk to a customer. So basically it's the typical things that the founder and CEO of companies say, you just need to talk to me. I know everything about it. That's basically the scenario I mentioned about. So I put together a business case. I tried to influence through my managers, the head of product during the time, couldn't get anything back. And I go to the point that I directly go into the CEO company. I basically pull my job almost on the line for that one to say, that's the only way for me to do my job is if you just allow me to speak to even, I just need 5 customers. And then it's not going to cost you a lot. And then and I already found this research company can help out to do research. Can I just talking to these 5? And then we can play back this result to you. You can decide if you want to use it or not. And that become one of the most valuable kind of almost fundamental strategy for the whole product later on. Because even I think until today, after I left the company for so many years, occasionally when something is that going out talking to about the product strategy, they still quote some of the things that directly straight from that customer interview experience, because it's just some of the things that unpack that. It's just so emotional, unheard of, which totally pin down the value proposition about that particular product.
Yeah, that's such a typical Charlotte move, just to get cut through, right? So really resonate as well, and I think we're a little bit spoiled for choice in the kind of market-facing space, because typically if people are buying human-centered design, they're asking for it, but it's a really good reminder.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we talk a lot about battles and things. I'm pretty sure we are still here, so we must still love our job. So maybe Kia, what do you love about the PM role the most?
What I really do love about it is the breadth that it covers. I did get into a habit earlier on in the career of kind of changing jobs every 2 years, and what surprised me is, I lasted longer than 2 years within a consulting environment. So there's always something new. The people you work with are just at a really high caliber, and it's the only area where someone who starts off in marketing picks up digital skills and design skills, falls in love with Scrum and XP, and can use all of that together on their job, right? So that's what I love about it. It's not the easiest thing to kind of explain to people. Is the flip side of it. You at a barbecue, you meet someone new, and they talk about they ask you what you do, and you're like, I work in IT. But how about yourself, Charlotte? What are your thoughts around what you love and hate about product?
I like the people working in the product. I like the dynamic of the product, exactly as what you say. I like all the challenges. I like solving problems, and the product management is all about solving problems, different level of problems. So I think I wouldn't choose a different career. But I guess what I'm frustrated about it, as you can see, sometimes I get frustrated quite easily about certain things. But my biggest frustration is because it's around when organizations hiring a lot of very talented, experienced product managers, and then but a lot of time they don't allow them to operate as a PM, this broke my heart. This break a lot of, because every single time when I see unempowered, unmotivated product managers in the organization, that really break my heart. So of course there's a lot of reason why this happened. We can totally have a separate episodes around that. But I do thinking as a PM, there's a lot of the success it depends on themselves. Of course, there's a lot of big part it depends on themselves, but a lot of them is also depends on the ecosystem, the support, the environment they're operating in, if they like be able to perform their role as well. All right, I think we're probably almost at time. Before we go away, I would love to see what would be the advice we would love to give people who wanted to transit into the product manager.
Yeah. If I were to start over again, I think the couple of surprising things is you never know what part of your work will actually contribute to your personal learning, and would be applicable throughout your career. So even if you're in a role where you are not doing product work, you'd be surprised how much of it becomes applicable later on, because it all builds on your personal experience. I think the other part of it is you always feel like you need, when you don't have the title in your role, you need permission to do certain things, kind of similar to the customer research part that you mentioned, Charlotte, earlier. And a lot of times I think you have to give yourself that permission. Like if you're passionate about great UX, keep pushing it in your day-to-day job. If you're passionate about getting the customer's voice into the work that you do, regardless of whether it's customer service or whether it's business analysis or whether it's something else, it's kind of always keeping the customer in mind is never a bad thing, right? So when you don't have the permission, in certain ways, you've got to give yourself the permission to do so. Your thoughts, Charlotte?
That's really good advice. Yeah, no, I'm going to write down some of those advice for me as well. So my biggest one is, as you can see, I'm very passionate kind of a PM, and also I just wanted to say, product manager is definitely not an easy job. I think the only way to make it sustainable is to choose a problem that you truly love, truly believe in, truly want to explore. You might not fall in love with a problem from day one, but there's a lot of effort. But you wanted to choose a problem that you can fall in love to at the beginning point, and really try your best to fall in love. Because until you fall in love with a problem space itself, it will be very, very difficult for you to sustain your energy in the role. So for my advice to anyone want to transit to become the product managers, I think finding out do a little bit more soul searching, finding out what are the problems you're truly kind of passionate about, you truly wanting to solve, and that will be a very, very good starting point. Then the path will be very clear for you.
Yeah, love it. That's the old Jeff Bezos "find your calling" kind of quote, right? So nice. Dear listeners, we hope you enjoyed today's Product Pals podcast. We explored the good, bad, and ugly side of product management roles. We defined what a product manager is and their roles in identifying, creating, and capturing value as part of a product management triad with engineers and designers. And we also talked about how product manager skills apply in different scenarios, particularly around the Big Four consulting environments versus product-led environment.
And we also realize we're always going to have a lot of different battles and trade-off to make when building a product. So as the product managers, spending time to understanding your core product principles, battle willing to fight, and the problem you're really passionate about will really, really help you to navigate through some difficult scenarios and making effective decisions. So I really hope you enjoyed today's Product Pals podcast as well. We will see you next time.